Okay, well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another Arcane Rising market update video. I do Crucible of War on Saturday, Arcane Rising on Sunday, and we do WTR on Mondays. So, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to all the subscribers. Thank you to all my patrons that kind of make this possible. All the patrons get a collection update tracker. That looks kind of like this. Actually, it looks exactly like this, where you can update your collection and all the prices are updated real time, and you can go and look at your value, and it all updates. And every week I update the values, and so that's what my patrons get me, or that's what I get my patrons. And patrons, that's $5 a month, and we sold out of the $3 slot last week, so that's pretty cool. So go on over to my Patreon if you're interested in that. And then also a quick shout out to Mitch from Midtown Merchant. If you're looking to buy any of these cards, Mitch actually just put a bunch of Arcane Rising on their site over at midtownmerchant.com. And Mitch is a great guy trying to help out the community. If you can't find the cards you're looking for at Midtown Merchant, use my link in my description for my TCG player. And that supports the channel, which is super helpful. But you don't get any money back on that, so you don't get any money off. If you go to Midtown Merchant, use my my code, which is justlove10 at Midtown Merchant. You get 10% off there. So, all right, let's get into the Arcane Rising market update. That stopped shilling for me. I mean, someone's got to do it, but let's move on. We're gonna start with Unlimited, like we always do. And with Unlimited sealed, we're starting to see this sealed value come back down to around the $100 mark. I'll go ahead and show you on eBay. We've got some sold listings at 110 from Canada, and then 115. Not some stuff at 125. So I'm trying to keep it around what it would be, and then also on TCG Player, you can get it for 115 shipped. And again, if you're going to do that, use my little code in there. So we're seeing this kind of start to taper back down. We kind of had it come up a little bit last week, and we're having it taper back down. Good to see that as more boxes are hitting the market. So that's the price we're going to try to beat, 110. We're going to see if the value in the packs equal out to $110. Let's move over to the Fabled, the Eye of Ophidia, which is 1 in 40. And the Eye of Ophidia, you know what? Is it smaller than it usually is? I bet you last night, we were streaming last night with Midtown Merchant, and I bet you it got, I'll make it a little bit bigger for you. There we go. Cool. Sorry for that. So Eye of Ophidia sitting at about 550. And, I'll show you some sold listings for that as well on eBay. We had one at 600. But we also had this one that was 550, and 130point.com will tell you that actual sold price. Their website's down today, so I don't actually know that actual sold price. So I'm going to sit it at about 150, and we'll see what that happens there. I know on Facebook Marketplace they've been selling for a little bit more than that. So if you're a buyer, make sure you're looking for your price. But if you're a seller, I would kind of shop around and see what you can get before you sell it at what I've got it here at 550. Remember, my prices are all just what I'm trying to show you on the marketplace. I'm not giving you my opinion here. I'm giving you the facts that are on the open market. So if you want my opinion, I have a podcast on my Patreon too, but I'm just trying to keep it all facts. So let's go on to the Legendary. So the Legendaries, really hardly any movement this week in the Unlimited Legendaries. We had a little bit of a decrease in the Skullbone Cross Wrap, and a little bit of decrease in Storm Striders, and a little bit of decrease in Arcanite Skullcap. But all in all, just like a 2% loss. Nothing that's super interesting or super concerning. It's cool to see what these prices all moving together, though. It definitely looks like Storm Striders is the worst Legendary. Grasp of the Arcanite kind of coming in second place there, and then the Skullcap seems to be what everyone's looking for. So all in all, you can kind of see these dropped a little bit, but now they're starting to plateau. And again, as more boxes are open, people already have the cards, and they'll list them on the marketplaces. So let's get to the Majestic Rainbow Foils. All in all here, no huge movement again. Arcanite Ascendancy kind of dropped. Actually, a big increase was the High Octane, which was down last week, but had kind of stayed pretty accurate, and all of a sudden it started to get picked up this week. So there are sold listings on TCG Player for $37. There's also one available for $37, so we'll see what happens with that. My guess is that will start flatlining again. And then Sonic Boom also saw some increases. But Command and Conquer being a little bit soft, as well as Art of War, that kind of drew everything down to negative 3%. Again, no huge concerns. You can see the graph on this is, even when things were not chart editor. Even when things were we were short on supply, it never really got too high here. So This seems to be your average price of a Majestic foil is going to sit around $38, with obviously some of them, the Ranger ones are sitting lower, and the generics are obviously always going to be the most expensive. Let's go to the regular Majestics. All in all, no change on the regular Majestics this week. We had a little bit of loss on high octane non-foil, a little bit of gain on Red the Ledger. I mean, these prices are just all over the place. It's all supply and demand. Nothing is really driving the market other than that. Just cards just happen to not be listed, and then they get picked up, or blah, blah, blah. So Command and Conquer lost about $5, but Art of War actually gained some value. All in all, hardly any decrease or increase on your average price of a Majestic, and you can just see that chart, right? Like we're just flatlined. So let's go to the super rares, the rainbow foils. We had a negative 18%, so an 18% loss here. Let's see what the big culprits were. Become the Arknight, down from $14 to $10.97. We had everything, it seems to be pretty similar. Induction Chambered lost about $1. We had $2 loss in Tome of the Aetherwind. The other cards kind of all over the place. Chains of Eminence lost a little bit. All in all, things are kind of dropping down. Like I said, an 18% loss on the rainbow foil super rares. And remember, the super rares are so much more common than the Majestic rainbow foils. So that's why you're going to see the price soften, especially set collectors who are looking for 3 of each in a foil. You're just not going to see as many Majestic rainbow foils because it's 1 in every 4 boxes. So the non-foil super rares are also down 7%, and all that same stuff applies here. Let's see what the big ones that went down were. I don't see any massive ones, honestly. Forked Lightning lost about $1. Nothing lost tons of value. It's just kind of everything lost 50 cents or so. So we're down about 7% with an average loss of about 25 cents. Sorry. Let's go to the rares rainbow foil. Remember the rainbow foil rares, all the rare cards. I don't look up each individual card like I do the other ones. This is the TCG low listed price. But all in all, sellers have lowered their prices by 10% on the rainbow foil rares. And they have lowered their price by 2% on the non-foil rares. And now let's go over to the rainbow foil commons, and there is some value in some of these. So let's look at like Achilles Accelerator. It's up about $1. All these equipments have some value. The monocles are about the same. Bullseye bracers are about the same. Crown of Dichotomy is about the same. So all in all, no huge changes here. All the prices seem to be kind of at about the same, which means they're probably selling and buying, and just doesn't, some of the product might sit on the market for a week or so, but little changes tell me that some of these are selling and that buyers are then relisting cards. So all in all, we had a 7% decrease. A lot of that could probably be summed up with the cards that aren't selling, and sellers are just lowering their prices. All right, now let's go ahead to our EV calc, and I'm only going to do this once, so we won't do this for Arcane First Edition, but in every box you get 42 rares, you get 4 foil rares, you get 4 super rares, 1 foil super rare, 2 Majestics, and 1 in every 4 boxes gets a foil Majestic, and 1 in every 4 boxes gets a chance at a Legendary. And then 1 in 40 gets the Fabled. So if you were to open 40 boxes, your average of those 40 boxes would be sitting at $140 per box. But of course, you're not going to you're not going to open 40 boxes, chances are. And so you got to kind of take out the Fabled chance. So you lose out on $13 there. You also lose out on your chance at the Legendary if you're only opening 1 box. So if you're only going to open 1 box, I would say your average price is sitting around $90.58. If you are going to buy enough to, if you're going to buy a case, you can probably get more close towards this 140, 135 as you take that chance of a Fabled out as well. So let's go ahead and compare that to last week. Last week we were at $144. This week we're at $140. So in all, a 3% loss overall on all the cards. And you can see that has been the last couple of weeks we've had a loss, but we are starting to plateau rather than dip. So let's go ahead and move over to Arcane Rising First Edition. And then just let me say before I get started here that what I'm sharing is going to be all my opinions, and especially on these Arcane Rising First Edition cards. It really, my prices, some of them are opinions, so they're all based on just the facts though, and I'm only going to kind of stick towards what the market is saying, and I will share anything that's not market fact based, and we'll get there. But so we've got sealed boxes. This week they're sitting at about what they were last week. I put a little bit of growth in there because I'll show you why. We did have some, best offer that was accepted. I think it was at 1550 if I remember right, and then we did have one sell at 1475. So, and I have been seeing them sell at around 1500 on Facebook as well. It just seems like these are following the pattern of Crucible of War actually, which is kind of interesting to me. But all in all, not really any growth, not really any loss. We didn't have any loss this week, which was kind of the trend over the last couple weeks. So maybe we'll see these rebound. I don't know, but that's what the graph looks like. Let's go ahead and move to the Fabled. I put the Fabled, this one was interesting. So I have this in red, right? Because I put the Fabled at 10,000 because there was a Facebook Marketplace post that said that he sold one or had an offer of one for 12,000. But he was searching for a better offer, and nobody offered him publicly a better offer. So I don't know that he actually sold that for 12,000, but also what I do know is that $8,000 has been there for a while, and we haven't seen any sell on the marketplace, and that sellers have them listed at like 15,000. So I don't think that there will be another sold at 8,000. Again, this is just conjecture, but I don't really buy the, hey, I sold one at $12,000 with no public actual record of that. So I'm going to put this at 10,000 with a big red mark on it that says, I don't know, because I don't know. So, but this is what I was talking to some people who I know who have these available for sale. This is kind of their target price for the next move, in my opinion, based on what they've told me. They haven't come out and said that, but I don't think anybody is willing to sell one that I'm talking to for 8,000. So, all right, let's move on to the Legendaries. These were pretty soft this week, actually. There were some that were sold for like 1,300 to 1,400, but then there was also some that were sold for like 1,000. I saw a Teklo Heart and a Stormstriders both sold for 1,000, but they were packaged together. So I kind of am taking the individual approach here and saying that individually, this is what these cards kind of would go for this week. And so 1,200, like I said, I saw some for a bit of over that. I saw some for a little bit lower than that. So this is kind of the average price I'm taking. The cross wrap is pretty soft, although there is a Skullbone cross wrap right now on eBay. The current bid is $920, and that is it has 4 days left. So that'll be really interesting to see next week what that public sale is going for. The other ones were all on Facebook of people who listed them and then said it was sold. But like I said, these were all more in tune with the market other than the Fable. There's market data to back up all these. There wasn't market data to back up this $10,000 Eye. And then the skull cap, there's actually one on TCG Player currently for $2,000. So that's kind of where I left that one. I haven't seen any sell for lower or higher, so that's where we are on that. So all in all, an 11% loss. If somebody picks up that Arcane skull cap on TCG Player, you let me know. And so 11% loss, and we're seeing a little bit dip as January hits. So the cold foils, though, the common cold foils, I've been really watching these over the last week because they are steady growth chart right now. Every single one of these, I think only one or two of them. I think there was one null rune. It may have been the hood, I think, that I couldn't find a sold listing for. I think all the other ones, there were sold listings for them, whether that be on TCG Player or eBay or Facebook Marketplace that left their listing up and said sold at this price. So we're seeing everything kind of gravitate towards the like $175 to $200 mark. It seems like there are some that are popping up at 200, at 199, 196. Some of these, like these 162s, these three of them were all sold together from the same seller, and then I think it was the hood that he didn't have, so I kind of put that in as the same price because they're all kind of the same. And so it seems like the market is gravitating towards those, and we've talked about that on other videos before, and the same was for WTR last week. So interesting to see these kind of continue to rise while everything else is kind of bouncing up and down. And so now let's get to the Majestic Rainbow Foils. And if you've been watching this, you know that the Majestic Rainbow Foils are very, very difficult to price. So take all this with a grain of salt. And also keep in mind that we're doing the same thing that we did as last week. Every time there's a public sale, it kind of pushes the other ones up towards them. So all the green cards right now that you're seeing on the screen are actual sold listings that I was able to find. Now, that being said, all the non-green ones are prices that I've taken and kind of marked to that. In other words, if an Art of War is selling for $600, a Majestic Rainbow Foil Art of War is selling for $600, then that means the Command and Conquer will have to increase as well, because that's what the market will say. And then, if High Octane is selling for $308, that means that these other Majestic foils can't be worth $150. It just doesn't make sense on the market. So keep that with a grain of salt. That's probably my opinion, but there's just no sales or no listings of any of these cards. Anything you're seeing right now that's in blue, there's just no public listings of the cards, so it's impossible to say what the public market price is unless you look at other cards of similar rarities that are currently selling. So that's really the only way I see to do it. If you have a better option for me, if you have a better opinion, please let me know, and I'm glad to incorporate it into this. So all in all, I increased this by 39%, but this is not to say that the cards are now worth 39% more than they were last week. What this is really saying is that every time a new sale happens, we are starting to understand what the market looks like better. Like look at all these weeks right here. From the end of the year all the way to 2 weeks ago, we didn't have an actual public. I think this $91 red in the ledger was the only actual public sale that we had of a rainbow foil Majestic. So, High Octane too. Sorry, I missed that one. High Octane at 175 maybe. But my point is that now we're starting to see, we had 3 sales last week, Art of War and a Sonic Boom. We had 3 sales this week. We're starting to see what the market price actually is on these, is what I'm trying to say. And the same thing's going to be true for the super rares. So all in all, I'm calling that 39%. Your average is really skewed because of Command and Conquer. But that is what it is. So Majestic, regular, again, all the green ones are actual sold listings this week, and those kind of dictated, like there wasn't a sold listing for Red the Ledger, there wasn't a sold listing for Teklo Core, but there were for the other ones. So that's kind of what I'm going with, is how this is happening. An 8% increase. Command and Conquer actually lost some value. There was a bunch sold on eBay this week, but Art of War gained some value. So I don't really know what's going on with Art of War unless people were just sleeping on it. And now all of a sudden it's starting to pick up some attention. But a cool little dip here, and now we're at a rise in the Majestics. And a lot of that, again, could be due to not having data the last couple weeks. And now all of a sudden we have, 6 sold listings in this current week. All right, I'm trying to move along here. Don't want to take up too much of your time. The super rares, like I said, are the same as the foil Majestics for the foil super rares. We did have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actual sold listings that help us dictate some of the other data based on the previous data I had as well. So we're sitting, we saw an induction chamber sell. This was actually all from the same seller in separate listings on eBay. The Rapid Fire, the Tome of the Arc Knight at 117. Ninth Blade of the Blood Oath at 100. Chains of Eminence sold for 78, and the Rested Relics sold for 65. So all in all, a $74, $75 average for your super rare foils, which is up 30% due to the increase in market information that we have. And we're kind of seeing a steady rise in those cards as well. And now for the non-foils, nothing changed at all. There's hardly any changes. These are, it's very hard to find any data for it, but they're just either not selling or they're listed, or, so it seems like the rainbow foils are moving much more than the non-foils, in my opinion, based on the research I'm doing. I'm not saying moving up, they're just selling more, like more cards are selling. So it's interesting. It seems like people need those who are collecting. Let's go to the rainbow foil rares. Now remember, these are all current listed prices on TCG Player. These are not sold listings. So all in all, sellers have lowered their prices for rainbow foil rares by 5%. And you kind of saw we had a pretty good increase, and now we're going to plateau. And for the rares, the same thing is true, other than this time we just had a 1% decrease, and that's kind of the opposite plateau, where things are now starting to stop dipping and plateauing. The rainbow foil rares, everything is the same here. This is just the listed prices. They've lost about 1%. Sorry about that. And the regular commons are sitting still at the average about $1. So let's get to the EV calc. We've already talked about what's in a pack. So let's go ahead and show you. Let me back this out a little bit for you. Oh, not that much. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and show you what a box average would be if you were to open a box. I do not recommend that you open a box, but if you were to open 40 boxes, your average per box should be sitting around $1,500 per box, which is right in line with the current market price for a box. But if you were to take out, that includes the commons, that includes everything, the total value, the raw data. If you were to take out the non-foil commons, because you can't sell those really, I mean you could, but no one's going to pay an actual dollar for each one if you're selling in bulk. You get about 1,300. And if you take out the legendary, the fabled, and the non-foil commons, so you're just selling the other cards, you're sitting at around 718.26. And when we compare this number, the total box price, actually I think we compare the non-foil common price. Let me check. Yeah, we do. I'm sorry. When you compare the non-foil common price, which is 1302, you see a 14% increase over from last week to this week. So all in all, we're seeing a lot of increase in the market. We're seeing a lot of increase again in those rainbow foil cards. And you do get your money kind of with those commons, especially if you get 2 commons. I don't know. I'm not telling you to open boxes. Definitely don't open boxes of Arc First unless you're one of those guys who has enough money to kind of do it on a big scale. Then it's probably still worth it. But if you can't do it on a big scale, do not do it. Buy unlimited. But all in all, a very cool market update, I thought, with lots of cool data. It's really nice to start seeing some sales on the rainbow foils. I hope you're enjoying these videos. If there's anything you want me to be doing better, please let me know. Remember, if you're a patron, you get access to the collection tracker that kind of updates as you go, and you can see the value of your collection. So thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you have a great day. Remember to be kind to the people around you, and remember that this is just a game. It's just a game. I mean, it's expensive, but it's just a game.